Welcome to the UHOT podcast, the University of Hawaii at Manoa's Organic Transitions podcast. This podcast was born out of the Sustainable and Organic Agriculture program at UH Manoa. As a top partner providing technical assistance, we found that it was important to allow local producers to hear from local producers on why they are or are not certified organic, giving the producers perspective on their operation, their experience, and their organic transitions journey. The SOAP program is located on the campus of UH Manoa. You can go to the UHOT website at uhot.org. There, we have a link to the SOAP website where you will find more resources on local agriculture research, a subscription button to the Hanai quarterly newsletter, and additional resources on Hawaii specific topics such as pest management, soil health, composting, cover crops, crop specific information, and the latest research. And without further ado, welcome to the UHOT podcast, University of Hawaii Organic Transitions podcast. Jay, this is Julius Ludovico from J. Ludovico Farm. Jay, tell us about J. Ludovico Farm and where you're located, how many acres you're working on, and where you guys are selling your product right now.
Um, Hey man, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. Yeah, we're J. Ludovico Farm, small family poultry. Well, at least majority of what we're doing is poultry production for meat. Um, so we have a grow site in Waialua. Um, so we're leasing about, at least on paper, 2 acres. And then we have a slaughter facility in Kahalu. It used to be the old Tomei Shinsato um hog slaughterhouse. So it was sold 7 or 8 years ago. I can't remember. I just happened to know who bought, and we were able to lease the space. And um, let's see. So most of our customers are customer restaurants, a few retail outlets. We do retail, but mostly value-added products. And um, so yeah, so that's kind of us in a nutshell.
Right on. Can you talk a little bit more about the how you got started and where you came from to where you got started in 2011, and you've grown since then. And it looks like you started out with dabbling with well, I don't know if it was dabbling, but you got into Korean natural farming. And initially, I think maybe you tell a story how you guys got started.
Sure. Yeah, what we are now is totally different from our our origin story, I guess. Got trained in natural farming. Or first I attended a Korean natural farming seminar by Hankyu Cho, or otherwise known as Master Cho. And uh, that was, I think, December um 2010, or yeah, I think it's 2010, or maybe 2009. I can't remember. Anyway, I was intrigued because he said they can raise pigs with no smell. And I, you know, growing up, I was born in the Philippines. Um, I remember my mom raising a couple pigs, one to sell, and I think one was for us, but I think most of the time she's just sold the pigs, but it was only like two at a time. And it was my older brother's job to clean the pen, and there was no way that you can raise pigs with no smell, and especially in a confined environment, which Master Cho described. So I was intrigued. And then I think the following year there was intensive training um, on Korean nature farming principles and input making and whatnot. And so, um, yeah, I was able to attend, fortunately, and it was a week-long event. Um, and then when I came back, I I just casually mentioned it to one of my coworkers, and I said, "Oh, wouldn't it be nice if we could actually put, what we learn into practice?" And so, um, it just so happened my coworker had an auntie up in Pupukea that had 3 acres, and um, so they allowed us to use that land. So we were able to use about a quarter acre to start, and then eventually an acre and a half. So we um we actually started with pigs. We built a natural Korean natural farming system, inoculated deep litter system. It was the second on Oahu. Um, and I know guys on the Big Islands have already built, the setup. The very first one was in Kurdistown, and then there's other small farmers have done. But anyway, on Oahu, we were the second one. Mountain View Farms is the first one, which, they're still in business doing the 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 pig operation. Um, and so yeah, so that's what we did. We raised some vegetables using natural farming. And then we just realized, well, other things happen, and then we realized we cannot expand on that pig operation. And it just so happened one of my friends was like, "Hey, I'm buying some egg layers. You want to get some?" At the time, I didn't want to do any um, poultry. I, 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 what's the word? Not that I'm averse to it. I just didn't care for poultry. Actually, animals in general. I don't even know why I even tried the pigs. You know, prior to that, I wouldn't even pet a dog. So,
Yeah, it's hilarious. All
yeah,
right.
and then so we got some layers. They all died. I think they had some worms or something, and we just didn't really know what we were doing. We was just taking a chance. And then same friend said, "Hey, I'm picking up again if you want, to replace the ones who died." And then a couple weeks later, he called and he said, "Hey, I'm getting some meat birds." And and he was like, "You want to try?" And we're like, Okay, sure, why not?" So that was kind of the beginning, and then we had a connection with a local restaurant, um, the Rio Gastropub at the time, and um, so they were our very first customers. And then it just kind of uh, escalated from there, I guess. And so, yeah, well, let me just say, uh, when the egg layers started laying eggs, we, at first it was like, wow, this is cool. And we had 50 at the time, um, and then every day they started laying, and we were like, what are we gonna do with all these eggs? And so, my wife was like, let's sell them, and again, we had no clue. Um, so we just started asking around, and then we realized there's a farmer's market at our kids' school. And so we inquired, and they said yes. And they said, "Do you have permits and all this and whatever?" And so that kind of started it. And then our first market, I talked to the manager and I asked, like, "Hey, can I sell meat chickens?" And she said, "Do you have a permit for that?" And again, we're so clued out, we so naive, we didn't know. And so I started calling, and um took me 8 months to connect with the USDA person here on island. And but a few months later we were operational. So that was, yeah, 2011 or 2012, I can't remember. So yeah, that began our journey, and then we started with Rio Gastropub. we gave them a sample. They liked it. And then they said, can we buy some more? At the time, we raised um, the chickens to about 6, 7, 8 weeks. Then we slaughter and then we get another batch. And so when the chef there asked, like, can we get some more? And I said, yeah, sure. I said 6 weeks. And so he was like, all right, I'll be ready. And when those chickens were of size, we slaughtered, we whatever, did everything and delivered again. And um, he goes, can we get more? And I was like, sure. And before I could say 6 weeks, he goes, can I get a dozen every week? And so on the spot, my mind melted because, mind you, I don't have no experience with production work or any of that nature. So um, I couldn't even fathom, you know, what kind of operation that we need to do. And so I called my wife and I said, hey, Mikey said he wants 12 a week. And so when I got home, she was like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do this? And and so we started doing math and then we realized like, okay, if we need to do production, we gotta build more coops. We gotta have um and then what the schedule is with the hatchery, how much birds do we need to get so that we always have 12 chickens a week. And so we got that going. And then I think a few months later, I got another call, and the owner of the restaurant said, "Hey, I heard about you. Can we buy chickens?" And I said, "Sure." Thinking they'll get like one or two or whatever. And then off the bat, without even trying it, he goes, "Can we get 30 a week?"
Dang.
And
Yeah.
so if you can imagine, my mind melting at 12 a week. So 30 a week was just like, um, it was like total meltdown, it was like, it totally changed everything because, one, people wanted our product. And then two, um, having a constant flow of product to provide on a weekly basis. It's kind of mind blowing.
Hey,
And
Julius, sorry, you went out for a second. Hey, can I stop? There's a few details that like I really think
sure.
would be really cool. So when you got so you got rid of the pigs, however you got rid of them, and you were doing Korean natural farming. Did you continue with the Korean natural farming with the chickens, or did you start a whole different management process or a management
Um,
way of doing things?
it was always incorporated, um, only because uh, my great grandparents, they were farmers, but I had zero experience as far as farming. And then, like I said, my mom raised a couple pigs at a time. She had orchids and anthuriums, but you know, um, we see them every day. But like I said, it was just like backyard kind of stuff. So when I got introduced to the natural farming, Korean natural farming, it was really all I know in depth, so to speak. So a lot of things were being incorporated, and also adapting at the same time. So
Now,
um,
was the Korean natural farming like there's another guy I talked to, and he's really into that as well, and he teaches Korean natural farming with swine production. Now, is it from your experience, how clean is that production process? Like I used to work in a piggery, and it was your traditional Western swine facility. We had all the pigs were raised up on these grates, and then whatever the waste would fall down underneath, and we had a flush system. You turn it on, it would flush all the waste out into a moat. and that mold had a high population of microbes that would, eat up all the waste. And that flush system broke maybe a couple years before I started working there. And part of my job, and I'm speaking on this because you mentioned the smell. I had to chop all that up and push it.